Hi there, Ronnie here, coming at you with a video that could possibly fall under the category of duh. I'm going to say it anyway. As a player, even as a GM actually, but certainly as a player, sometimes in a critical situation, the dice just aren't your friends. Role-playing games are a game where there, like any game, there is always a chance that you will not succeed. And as players, we have to take that on board. Because there is more to the game than merely succeeding or failing in a role. In terms of role-playing, it's about how our characters react to the action. That's where the meat for role-playing is for me. I enjoy that. On Monday on Pair of Geeks 2, I'm playing in a game. Meant to be running the next one. Still to decide what I'm doing, but sometimes you roll and it's fantastic. I mean, we're playing Call of Cthulhu, which is a percentile system. So the last thing in the world you want to roll is 100, and the thing you really want to roll is 0-1. And on a couple of occasions, Becky's character managed to roll a 0-1, which is great. Which is, you know, it's almost guaranteed. I mean, it would be virtually nearly impossible for that not to succeed. It might not be a fantastic success, dependent on other factors, but a 0-1 is almost guaranteed to be an extreme success to something. Really the only chance of it not being extreme is if you start with like 1% in a skill and you just roll it. On Monday night my luck ran out. My character died. Hit roll didn't quite do what I wanted it to do. The monster that was attacking us got a really good hit. Took me right out. And then you have to make, if you've been sort of, all your points have been dropped in one go, as mine was. When you get down to 0, you end up having to make constitution rolls. I guess it'd be equivalent of death saves in D&D 5th. You have to make a constitution save. And if you don't succeed in that con roll, then you die. And I made the first one. Didn't make the second. It's unfortunate. It happens. And that's the thing. There's really no point in getting upset. There's no point in getting annoyed. Or frustrated or angry or any sort of negative emotion. It's a game, and sometimes the dice will favour you. Sometimes the dice will really favour you, and sometimes the dice will just let you down, and sometimes the dice really let you down. But the juice of any good role-playing game isn't the roll of the die. It isn't whether you succeed or fail and to what degree. It's how you role-play that reaction. Can you turn that negative into an interesting RP moment? Because if you're fixed primarily on winning, I've been watching a lot of D&D horror stories, which it's not a commentary about D&D, it's a commentary about role-playing in general. It's just with D&D, because being the biggest game, invariably it's D&D that comes up as stories. Are players who are competitive. They're trying to win an RPG. And they'll go to extremes. Whether they're trying to win because, you know, they see the game as you against the GM, or, which it isn't, or you proving yourself to be the very best of all the characters. You've got the best, you've got the #1 character because you want to make sure that your character is absolutely the best character on the table. And to me, having the best character isn't about having the best scores or even the best background. It's about that combination of interesting background with scores that reflect that background, and you adding that spark, that third dimension that lifts these numbers and everything off the page and turn them into a character, a three-dimensional character. But sometimes your dice let you down, guys. No point being upset by it. No point being frustrated by it. It happens. Characters die. It's just the way it is. And I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest. If you're set a task in a game, there should always be the chance that you can't succeed in that task, or else there's no sense of achievement. Now, if that is your definition of winning an RPG, it's not what I would call winning, but I can concede the point. But winning an RPG, to me, is about having a great time, having a fun time, really getting in on character and enjoying it. And those moments, those moments where the dice don't go for you, how you act in character when it doesn't pay off is as much about the fun of role-playing as the moments where it all clicks. And I love those moments. So if your role-playing is purely based on winning, if it's purely based on being the best, should I be controversial? Sorry, my channel, I'll be controversial. I'm not sure role-playing games are the right fit for you. If you are that sort of extremely competitive, by all means, get into wargaming. Get into tournament play, sort of card games like Magic and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And all these other ones. Play these really sort of cutthroat board games where you're really at everyone's throat. Because those will satisfy that competitive itch that you have. But role-playing games aren't about being competitive. Role-playing games are about a shared story. And that's the fun, that's the enjoyment. So rather than feel like you've failed when a dice roll doesn't go your way, use it as a moment for a bit of on-the-spot reaction role-playing. You know, the fighter who you know swings a sword but misses, the spell that doesn't quite cast, the shot from a gun that doesn't quite ring true, the leap from one building to another that doesn't quite pay off. Use that moment to go, oh God, ah! And react to it. Throw yourself into the path of the storm rather than trying to, you know, think, oh God, bloody dice, bloody things. I mean, I if anyone watches me playing, I do sometimes say bloody dice, although I say it somewhat facetiously, rather than, you know, in a sort of real way. I'm taking the mickey out of myself when I do that. A couple of times I've rolled during the Cthulhu campaign. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this next round because I failed the roll, and I just say next round. As a GM, failed rolls are part of life. Sometimes your big bad guy fluffs. Sometimes the spell doesn't hit. Sometimes damage doesn't. Sometimes the damage does, so you do so much damage you completely rip apart a campaign. Dice are random. That's their job. It means people will succeed at stuff and really succeed at stuff, and people will fail and really fail. It's how we deal with the moment in game as a role player. How your character reacts to not quite getting there, to the sword falling out their hand, or worse, you swing it at an enemy, you completely fumble your roll, and you end up smacking somebody instead. You smack one of your other players instead. And those moments can be reacted to in a really dramatic way. They can add to a tension in the scene. Oh my God, you know, I thought that was, if I don't make it this time, oh God, and you can heighten the tension, its atmosphere, it's just foreboding. Or you can react with for comedic effect. You know, clearly he wasn't close enough. But don't feel so bound by the dice that all your fun is based on the roll of the dice. Roleplay. Enjoy it. Have fun with it. That's what it's there for. I've watched far too many of these videos on D&D horror stories where people clearly aren't having any fun. Because the dice didn't quite go their way. Kind of miss the point if that's what you're doing.